Hi Aries, welcome to your healing after a toxic relationship, or how to get over your relationship that's still kind of stuck in your craw. This is intended to be a romantic love reading, but it certainly may resonate in other areas of your life. This could be another situationship or relationship you're dealing with. This also could be yours or your person's moon, rising, or Venus sign. All right, so Aries, healing after a toxic relationship. Gonna try and keep this short and sweet because, full disclosure, this will be my third reading, and because the other ones I just talked way too much. The gist of the other ones were you had settled. The Aries that I'm reading for are movers and shakers and don't suffer any fools, and we got stuff to do and things to go see and all that. And yet you had this string of disappointing connections because you settled. You were dealing with people that didn't have it to give, and you kept trying to make them give it to you and kept sitting in judgment of them, and kind of, instead of being like, oh, this person's got a lot going on, they can't give it to me what I need, the time or the investment or the commitment. Instead, you kind of did this whole aloof pullback and then rush them and blame and guilt and have this intense encounter, and then you would pull back. Or you just never ended the connection. You kind of just, maybe you were waiting, hoping that they would kind of realize, or there was some maturity that would take place. And the thing was, this person either wasn't interested in a connection or they didn't have it to give. They were really concerned about just taking care of themselves right now, but even before COVID. So, Ronageddon. So, you were kind of wasting your time on someone that wasn't really interested in what you were interested. And that, when I dug a little deeper, it was because you didn't want to be by yourself, because you feel like, why does everybody else get, this is the Aries I'm reading for, why does everybody else get to have that compatible relationship and I'm always let down or disappointed? And I think it's because you're looking for someone else to provide you what you don't provide for yourself, which is self-care. There was this feeling of, okay, I'm going to totally take care of you and provide for you, and then you're going to do for me, right? And the person was like, no, all this attention and generosity from you is great, but don't expect it back from me because I'm trying to take care of this over here, trying to do my own thing. And then there was sadness because of that, and anger. And I mean, it's your typical codependent relationship, right? But it's like, but I don't want to be the only one taking myself out to dinner or going to a movie, or, I want companionship. I want that. And what was showing in the reading was this was about you taking all of that wonderful energy to champion someone else's causes or to invest in someone else, and starting to invest in yourself and carve out time for yourself. And what that does is, when you start to get in the habit of checking in with yourself 20 minutes a day, whether it's making yourself your favorite tea and sitting in quiet contemplation, or reading, or yoga, or going on a walk, but that 20 minutes a day that's supposed to be sacred you time, that starts to expand out further and further into the day. And then pretty soon you're really in the habit of constantly being in check with yourself and communication, and you're led by your intuition. Like, does this feel right? Does that feel right? And it doesn't mean that there's not disappointments, but you get that red flag and you look at it and go, hey, this doesn't feel right. And then you start listening to that. And that becomes your guiding principle. Because we had the high priestess show up a couple of times. And it was all about listening to yourself first, instead of just throwing caution to the wind and overextending yourself to someone that doesn't really appreciate what you're doing. And number two, you're only doing it so that you in turn can be taken care of the way you think they should be taken care of you, when they haven't done anything to let you know they'd be a good partner or a good source for doing that. So it was really laden, and I went on a deep dive, and I shouldn't have, because it's not supposed to be a lecture or anything like that. I felt like I was sounding preachy, so I was like, oh no, I scrapped it. So anyway, just in the context of those readings, it was about you pulling back and putting yourself first instead of championing someone else's cause so they'll eventually champion you. You champion you. You check in with yourself. You touch base. You carve out that time. I hate that saying. You protect your own time so that when you meet somebody, and in one of the readings there were kids involved too. So it was a lot harder to really fully disconnect. But because then you're going to meet somebody that respects your time, lets you have that, doesn't compete with it, doesn't make you feel guilty for having it, or doesn't go, well, if you leave me alone too long, it's going to get easier and I'm going to cheat on you. Like, not that anybody says that, but that whole sentiment, you know what I mean? So you'll have someone that respects that about you, that they like that you're whole and that you take care of yourself first, because then they don't have to worry about taking care of you in that way. Like, you know what I mean? You're not going to be emotionally fragile or weak. You'll have yourself together. You'll have your own time. You'll have done what you needed to do, whether that's a hike or a meditation or reading or an assignment or whatever. You'll have taken care of yourself so you can be fully present in the partnership, just like they will have been. Getting way deep here again. The Devil, that could be Capricorn. Knight of Pentacles. Hanged Man, that could be Pisces. Nine of Cups. Knight of Cups. Judgment. Page of Swords. All right. Oops. Okay. All right. So we got trust here. What's this Knight of Pentacles? This Knight of Pentacles for Aries. What's this Knight of Pentacles? The Fool. All right. What's this Hanged Man here? What's this Hanged Man for Aries? Ace of Wands. What's this Nine of Cups? Two of Cups. What's this Knight of Cups? Death. That could be Scorpio. What's this Judgment about? What's this Judgment about? Knight of Swords. Okay, so for the one of the readings too, we had issues of childhood trauma that someone hadn't let go of. It was your person. They couldn't give to you the fatherly love for one of the readings that you wanted because they never got that themselves. There was a whole bunch of, and it's always intermeshed because you're always dealing with the same thing but different ways. They had issues like father issues, and so did you in one reading, and you were looking to them when they were trying to give it to themselves, and it was just this whole big old sitting there with your arms crossed, staring at them, looking at them in judgment, like, well, you repeatedly let me down, but I'm going to give you a second chance, and they're just like, I don't want a second chance. Don't make me take a second chance from you. I mean, it was just, and I was like, why are you two still connected? You had kids. So that really messed with the dynamic. Anyway, for this though, we've got someone that doesn't um, want a new beginning because they're not in that way for anybody really. They're kind of down on relationships, and you're thinking that, well, I'm just going to wait this out and see if this person will come back around, and they're not going to. This is you needing to see your brief time with this person for what it is and release it, because what's showing here is that you're keeping this connection alive. You're still kind of waiting for this person to give you some sort of commitment or assurance, and they don't want to. They don't want any kind of obligation. It could very well be that everybody's worried about taking care of themselves because of COVID. Completely understandable. But if we're looking at this in terms without COVID's influence, without Ronageddon, you've got someone that is kind of still nursing. I wouldn't say nursing. There's been they aren't the same person that when you met them. If you've already broken up, they're not the same. They don't want the reconnection. That's not going to change, and I think you're hoping it will change. If it's not somebody that you've broken up with that has changed since, this is someone that had a relationship prior to the one they had with you that they haven't fully processed and let go of yet. So they don't want the connection with you to go past a certain point. And I think you were kind of waiting around and hoping, because for the Aries that I'm reading for, you do things rather slowly. And you don't, there's kind of this, I don't want to say secrecy, but there's kind of this, like, you feel, for the Aries that I'm reading for, you feel a lot more than you let on. So there's an attachment to this person, but you just might not have let them know about, which you might think is a good thing now because you've got someone that doesn't want this connection that you want. But since you didn't really show yourself to be all in, it kind of saves face, but internally you're still really hoping for a connection with this person. And there's a great physical compatibility here, but the person you're dealing with doesn't want anything more than that. They're still kind of hung up on another person or another situationship. So this is you needing to see it for what it is and move on, because you're not gonna, this person isn't ready for the kind of connection that you want. What's this Page of Swords right here? What's this Page of Swords? High Priestess. Okay. So you two, so your job is to see this for what it is, look at the experiences that you shared with each other, and I hate to say chalk it up, but that's what's going on here. Chalk it up to a good physical connection, but that you're ready for more. You're ready to move on and find someone that can give you the connection that you want. This person is not it. This is about you recognizing that you're not going to, kind of like the other ones, you're not going to get what you need past a certain point from this person. You're ready for more. They aren't. It is time to move on. And this is about learning to trust what you know, what is not communicated. Going with your feeling. Trusting when you know it's time. There's something happened. There was at a point where you realized, or you knew, that it's not going to be anything more than this. It's never going to go beyond this. Quite possibly because COVID happened, but without that influence, there was, at some point you knew that this is all it's ever going to be. And you might have pulled back, but you're still some of you are still waiting, and you need to not, because this person was maybe a lot of fun, but they're just not commitment material. This is someone that just doesn't want what you want, and this is needing to be able to listen when that voice comes up again, to listen to it, so that this isn't about dragging things on and waiting. You know what you know, you just haven't listened to it yet. This is about listening to what you know, that which wasn't spoken, that which you saw but didn't say anything or didn't talk about, you still hung around. When you realize it's not going to go past a certain point and yet you wanted it to, that's when you tap out, because you can. It doesn't make you a witch with a bee, or a jerk, or it makes you someone that's like, you know what, I can see where this is headed and this is a lot of fun, but if it's not going to be anything more than this, I want more than this, so I'm going to go looking. And, well, no, we can have more than that. Well, prove it. You've seen what I can do. You've seen how available I am, or what I can give. If you're willing to make those concessions, let me know. But until I see it, then we're not, I gotta go. I gotta step out. But I don't want you to go. That's right, you don't want me to go. I am a good catch. Good that you realize that. When you're ready, if I'm still around, let me know. What else for Aries? Self-care. 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 Don't be surprised that if this person, this is going to sound weird and you're going to start throwing things at the screen, but there could be a friendship coming out of this. There could be that you, for whatever reason, keep this person around. I don't know. It's very strange, because at some point you might be able to let go of your attachment to them and just see it for what it is, and you two deal with each other with that understanding. But I don't know if that's this time yet. It could be down the road, but right now this is about you listening to that which is not spoken, which is your intuition, basically. There's some things that you knew here that you decided not to listen to, and now you're kind of wondering, and you don't need to wonder. You knew before when it was time to get out. So forgive yourself for overstaying. Forgive yourself for not listening. No more waiting around for this person to be ready for the commitment that you want. They're not going to be. And it's their loss. You need to find somebody that can match what you want. All right. That's for Aries. Trust in the magic. Nice. White Raven. Nice. Trust in the magic. For some of you, you might be like, oh, good, so I should wait. No. This is not about waiting and trusting what's going to happen. This is about trusting in yourself that the best is yet to come. This wasn't all bad. Someone just didn't want what you wanted. They weren't ready for, but you had a heck of a physical connection with this person, but they didn't want anything more than that. Okay, they're not the only person you're going to have a great physical connection with. And they're not the only person you're going to have a connection with. So this is quite possibly the best is yet to come, especially once we all get to finally get back out there after this Ronageddon's lifted. And we get to, there's going to be hugging in the streets and partying and buying people, gifts and drinks. And it's going to be nuts. But for now, This is about you, doing your self-care thing at home, mulling this over and realizing, you know what? I want more and I'm ready for more. And I want to be with someone that wants the same thing. This person was great for this, but in terms just because we have great chemistry doesn't mean it makes a great relationship or a great partner. They're still dealing with getting over someone anyway. So this is about you realizing, you know what, we had a good run. Our time was our time, and now it's time for me to be ready for the next person to come along. Because this person wasn't bad, just didn't want what you want. They're dealing with other things that are kind of clouding their ability to fully commit to somebody. So you don't need to mess with them. You don't need to deal with them. And you know that much, but I think there's still this sort of hope that if you kind of wait and bide your time and make yourself scarce, that they'll want to look you up. And it's like, yeah, but the only reason they're looking you up is for that great physical chemistry, not for the reasons that you want to be still in consideration. Like, just because they want to enjoy you physically doesn't mean they want a partner with you right now. It's not because they don't care for you, it's because they don't have it to give. Their attention is not focused enough for what you want. So, this, for the Aries that I'm reading for this reading, this wasn't that bad. It's just dealing with someone and letting go of someone that doesn't want what you want. It's allowing for them to not want what you want and to let go of that hope and that connection and be open to something better that would be more fulfilling coming in about 3 months. But I don't want to make it sound like this person's bad, because they're not. They just don't want to offer you what you want. You might have made yourself a little scarce and like not known that you fully want that. You might have backed off because you do have a good physical connection, but you can have both, a good partner and a good physical connection, and you've got something better coming in about 3 months anyway. So all right, shutting up. Okay. All right, I hope this was helpful. Gosh dog it, I talked too long again. I didn't want to talk this long. I don't want it to seem preachy. I hope that you are doing well where you are, and I hope to see you in the next reading. I thank you for stopping by, and much love and support to you. You take care.